Oops. So let's start with a quick question to the audience. Who in the past mined Bitcoin or altcoin?
What's the question?
Who in the past mined Bitcoin or altcoin? Has some experience with actual mining. Who is still actively mining? Okay.
How many?
No one actually currently mining? No altcoin? All those GPUs standing around?
I'm mining.
No, except Stefan. So let's do, first of all, quick intro of the panel. Yoshi.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Hi, I'm Yoshi from Bitmain. We produce, some of you guys may know as Antminer out of China.
Hi, I'm Stefan Schindler from Genesis Mining, CTO. And we're a cloud mining provider, enabling basically everyone who wants to be part of the mining world to just buy a cloud mining contract and participate. And yeah.
Hi, I'm Meni Rosenfeld from the Israeli Bitcoin Association. Of course, the Israeli Bitcoin Association doesn't do anything with mining, but I personally have done some research about different mining algorithms and so on.
And I'm Corem, the CEO of Sponduli Tech, an Israeli Bitcoin mining ASIC and miners manufacturer. Let's start with the first question. Do we see the end of all mining right now? Do you believe that there will be all miners in Q1, in 3 months from now? Yoshi? I must add that Yoshi company, Bitmain Tech, has a long history of all miners starting from their S1, S3, U1, U2, and recently U3. They have invested a lot of in the form factor suitable for all mining.
The Bitmain company still believes in decentralization of Bitcoin network, and we're continuously trying to come up with a product that still can be used as a home mining device. And the home mining, at this point, it is getting to the point that the crowd mining or data center mining is unavoidable due to the nature of power consumption with the current technologies. Hopefully, we just released a new product called Antminer C1, which is a water cooling with less power consumption. So you can still, it's a Bitcoin miner that's 1 terahash per second. You can plug it into your home power socket, and it still mines. If the difficulty continues to rise without the new technologies, the home mining could be over. To be as a profitable mining, it could be over. However, there's enough Bitcoin hobbyists if we can continue to mine at home, and we will continue releasing a USB-based miner to cater those home mining.
I've actually done both. I come from being a home miner, and I was very enthusiastic about it, and I'm actually still very enthusiastic about it. I see, however, that in the world where there's already ASICs established, like Bitcoin SHA-256 and Script, it is becoming more and more difficult, and it is becoming more and more for home miners a gamble. Like, I mean, if you want to be profitable with it, you have to be really early in charge, trying to order some miners, and hopefully not giving your money to someone who is going to scam you. I mean, fortunately, no one is here like that, but it happened in the past. So you make a pre-order 8 months ahead, and then you don't even receive your hardware. These things happen. And then if you're early, you might get ROI, but it can happen that you never get ROI because a lot of other peoples are coming in. So actually, the only way that I see where home mining still can exist is GPU-based. And that still is a very interesting field. We have a lot of very good, interesting pools who come up with new ideas of improving the way of doing home mining. And but it is something that will always be a little bit a gamble, I would say. You can do it both, two ways. I mean, you can choose for a multi-pool, GPU-based, and get your daily payouts in Bitcoin by mining the most profitable coin on a multi-pool. Or you can watch what's happening in the Bitcoin Talk forums very closely, see the releases of the coins, and see an interesting coin and put all your efforts in it and say, I believe in this coin, and basically mine the hell out of it as long as you can.
Why mine? Why not just buying the coins if you believe that it will?
That's actually what I'm...
fun of it.
Yeah, I mean, I find it hard for myself to say that home mining is dead, because I'm myself an enthusiast about home mining. I like it. It's a great hobby, and I think the community also needs it for the release of new coins. There must be a community actively supporting it. But in a world where ASICs are already established and functioning, this is where really the cloud mining providers come in, and they're actually helping. I mean, you don't have to order hardware and wait for it to arrive. You don't have to deal with the electricity bills, no noise. If you have a wife that doesn't accept any of these, electricity, noise, heat in your basement, this is where we actually fill in as a company, and it's working great.
Yeah, I don't think we're at the end of home mining. Even if we talk just about Bitcoin mining and ASICs, mining is characterized by having a lot of room for scaling down, because the smallest unit you can use to mine is a tiny group of transistors that calculate SHA-256. So because you can scale it down so much, then even at moderate scales, for example, a machine that you would see at the home, which has, I don't know, a few millions of these cycles, circuits that calculate SHA-256, then even there you have some efficiency. Of course, when you scale up, you have some economies of scale, but the economies of scale that you see are much lower than in almost any other industry. So of course, we can contrast this to gold mining, where you cannot take a miniature gold mine and run it at your home, but you can run a miniature mining machine and run it at your home, and even though it's less efficient, the huge mining farms, on the one hand, they have a tiny economy of scale. On the other hand, they have a lot of overhead that goes hand in hand with running a large business. So my home miners have this going for them. And of course, there are a lot of reasons to mine, even if it's not profitable. Right now, when people hear about Bitcoin, they ask, oh, can I mine? And we tell them, no, you shouldn't do it. It's not profitable. And people do it anyway because it's fun, because they want to be a part of the system, because they want to learn. So I think we will see home mining for a long time.
So I feel the day that the entire mining will be done in centralized big data centers. It certainly look that we are heading that way. Unstoppable, like Meni said, the economy of scale. I do believe that with each generation, and previously in my presentation I described some of the future generations that will come in 2015. I think that there is a short opportunity with each generation to create an home miner form factor that might be profitable in certain area of the world, but it's certainly difficult to profit from home mining, especially in Israel, unless you work for the electric company, which is an untapped market in Israel. So it looks a bit gloom, but the home miner will always have the possibility to buy contracts from a company that has the economy of scale. Again, the profit margin won't be so good as it was by the end of 2013, 10 months ago. Everything can change if the Bitcoin value will rise. That's of course, that's the economy of things. Next question. A few months ago, we were there was the big scares about Ghash.io reaching 51%. And in general, there is the problem, at least in Bitcoin, of decentralized pool Right now there are two huge pools, Discuss Fish from China and GH.io, and probably Bitfury pool is huge chunk of the undisclosed pools right now. So 3 pools dominating much more than 75% or about 75% of the hash rate, and we know that GH and Bitfury is working with close relations with each other. So, and it seems that this problem will become more and more acute as we go along in 2015. Any comment on that? Do you think that the manufacturer should work actively to prevent this problem? And let's start from Meni.
Yeah, so I will talk a lot about this in my talk at the end of the day about multi-PPS. For now, I will just say 3 things. 1, yes, this is a problem. 2, it has solutions. And 3, the solution is not trusting gigahash.io statements that it will not allow 51% to happen.
But those pools we need to implement, or can it be enforced by the ASIC manufacturer? Who we need to adopt? I know that you have this talk, so there will be some fundamental change in protocols in order to implement. And that brings us to another question later on: who has the power to implement such changes? But let's.
Yeah. So the short answer is that you don't need protocol changes. Depending on which solution you choose, you might need support from the pools. But there are also some solutions where the miner can just solve himself the problem without needing anything from anyone. So in this case, I think the future, like Sprite, there is some development work, but it's something anyone can do, and I think it will eventually be done one way or the other.
Everybody know the game Monopoly?
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do in that game is start off really good, really early in the game, because then everybody will watch you, right? And they will make friends with the other players and try to do everything they can to suppress you and prevent you from winning. So each time we're talking about the 51% attack, the name GH.io comes up, and I feel a little bit sorry for it, because actually we know that, as far as I know, GH.io has already acknowledged this problem for themselves. And the way they've dealt with it so far, I think it's good for the community. They've actually limited the number of users going on their pool, for that matter. On another note, I think who would ever want to gain more than half of the hash rate in order to do a double spend? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Anyone who's got more than, I don't know, 30–40% of the hash rate is being watched. And once you got more than 50%, you make such a big cut. Why would you ever want to fake a transaction? Anyone who would do a 51% attack would kill actually the ecosystem. And if you have 50% or more, you don't want to kill the ecosystem. I'm not saying it's not a problem. I'm just saying if we manage to implement something on a protocol layer to prevent that problem from happening, then it's more than done. But I don't see it as a problem, because I don't see it as a potential thing that it can happen, that people are actually faking or doing double spends. I don't know how you feel about it, but
yeah, the thing is that there are several risks here, because if one pool has a majority of the network hash rate, then you could have the possibility that someone will hack into it and do these attacks. So maybe the pool itself doesn't have an interest in attacking Bitcoin, but someone else using the resources, maybe they will. And also, right now, it's pretty easy, in quotation marks, to create a very large pool. So maybe someone who isn't really interested in Bitcoin, isn't really interested in running an honest pool, will just create a pool, make it big, and then attack Bitcoin. So you have some threats here.
Yeah, true.
At the Bitmain, we don't know what the outcome is going to be, but the 51, we do believe the 51% attack can be dangerous. And some of our programmers are looking into some of the protocol, if it's possible to come up with a solution or not. And we believe on using a P2 pool, again, decentralize the entire hashing throughout the world. So right now we don't have an answer if it's possible or not, but we are, our engineers are looking into any solution if it's available.
Thank you. So my personal belief in this problem will remain. I will stay to listen to many presentations and try to work with him on that, but you know, economy of scale, there will be always 2, 3, 4 poles that will have the share. That's my personal belief, unfortunately. Next question. So again, I'm not talking to anyone in this stage, but recently you can hear about a new cloud contracts company popping up in the rate of 2 or 3 a week. And it seems that at least some of them, if not most of them, are Ponzi schemes in which they don't have the real hash power to back up the amount of contracts that they are selling. I believe that even one big company in this field started as a Ponzi, got a lot of money, and right now try to fulfill those contracts with actual hardware. If you have enough people joining, you can go, you can postpone actually obtaining hardware and using new customers to do the payouts. And personally, I fear the day that such a big company will pop up and reveal as a scam. And there were some small cases of companies that were revealed as with such problems. What's your take on that? What should be done, if anything, to protect customers from those companies? Let's start with Stefan right now.
You see the smile on my face? Well, I must say I'm a little bit satisfied that the community is actually acknowledging those Ponzi schemes as what it is, since building up a mining hardware operation is a lot of pain. I did it. It's a lot of work, and you have to invest a lot and also thereby risk a lot. So we saw this come up, of course, and we had a look at it, and it's becoming more and more clear who's an honest player and who's not, I think. What we've done so far in the past is that we've been very transparent with our mining operation. We've invited Gavin Andreessen once to our site after he on Reddit posted that a lot of cloud hashing providers are Ponzi schemes. So everybody knows where we're operating, and we're happy to show our facility. It's actually there. And of course, we are also going to a lot of venues. We show our faces and, do a lot of PR work to actually show who we are and that we are serious in the business. But of course, maybe there should be something done on a more technical level to it also.
Yoshi?
One way is the customer who's looking into the crowd mining can do due diligence, start asking the new crowd hashing company what kind of hardware they use, when they acquire the hardware. But again, that has some limitation too. Nowadays on Google, if you're looking for any type of mining farm photos, you'll always find somebody has pictures posted. So you can spend hours doing a due diligence, but if the company was smart enough to come up with the fake photos, you may not be able to detect it.
Let me interrupt you here. Sure. I mean, we got pictures of the farm with me in the farm and a big sign holding up saying, look, this is Genesis Mining. And after posting that on Reddit, we've actually had users claiming it was photoshopped.
Yeah. And another option is one of the ASIC manufacturers can implement some type of restriction in the chips or hardware level. But again, with the Bitcoin mining side of business, time is money. If we end up spending extra 2 months producing a miners, trying to implement that, then we may not be able to produce the miners in time. But possibly some of another solution could be also faked by the providers, but I believe one of the manufacturer out of China called Lock Miner Company, any miner you purchase from them has an option within the control panel where the user can actually activate monitoring software for the general public to see what kind of mining power you have. Other than that, right now, I don't know what other option we have.
Yeah, so I happen to be one of the pioneers of mining contracts. 2.5 years ago, I issued a certain mining contract on Glebs. So, first I want to maybe correct Guy a little in his use of the term Ponzi scheme. The characteristic of a Ponzi scheme is false presentation. So if you say you have one thing and you do another, then it might be a Ponzi scheme. But, if someone wants to short mining and he issues mining contracts and doesn't have the hardware, I think that's certainly within his right as long as he's transparent about it and everyone understands what's happening. And on that note, I think that in general, mining contracts need to be much more commoditized. Instead of having specific suppliers of contracts, we need to have more like an open exchange of contracts which have very transparent rules. So right now, I think most of the contracts that you see out there have opaque rules that try to mask the fact that the contracts are very not profitable for the buyers of the contracts. So once we have a clearer standard for these things, I think we could have a very efficient way to decouple the speculative position on mining from actually running the mining hardware, and I think this can lead the mining market to be much more efficient.
I 100% agree with Meni. It's a matter of presentation. It's perfectly okay for a cloud contract provider to have other means of obtaining bitcoins and ensure customers payout. But again, you need to be transparent and you need to say that I have that and that hash power and the contracts are fulfilled by that and that hash power. Spondulis will work. Yoshi started to talk about that. So with our future generation, not the third generation, but probably the fourth generation, we will implement cryptographic hash, a proof of hash that will allow cloud contracts to show how many hash power they actually have, and we will contribute this portion to other manufacturers that would like to implement them. Our goal here is to maintain a clean ecosystem in which everything is transparent and the customers knows what he's buying.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about similar things already in the break, and it would be really awesome to have something like an escrow coin or something, like a deliberate coin that can, or the pools that mine that coin are not public, and nobody can mine those coins, and in order to prove that you have a certain amount of hash rate, you must submit your full hash rate, I don't know, for a certain amount of time, 5 minutes or something, within a week on short notice or something like that. I mean, I'm not saying that we have an implementation of that already, but it would be cool to have something like that.
Kind of auditing bureau that asking, for example, Genesis Mining, for a certain 5 minutes window, please show proof of script mining by doing specific mining to a specific coin. And the entire ecosystem we're able to show the hash power directed to this special kind of coin, test coin. That's a neat idea.
Something like that.
And no need to change anything in the ASIC. Okay, next question. So currently we have SHA implementation, Bitcoin. We have script implementation. There might be a script and implementation. And now there are coming the new coins with X11 algorithm, X13 algorithms. Do you see value in pursuing each of those coins and try to ASIC-lize them into, do another $3 million or $4 million investment into trying to have the advantage of having more algorithms, more coins that you can mine with the ASIC? Yoshi, please start.
Maybe in the future, once the demand in the market is needed, probably may have to implement something like that. But right now,
maybe create a demand in advance.
Yeah, if we can, anything like this, it doesn't happen overnight. So if something like this is needed in the market, the work has to be done now, and then maybe 3 months, 6 months down the road, then finally these technology can be available for the general public use. So it's really tough spot. It's kind of hard question.
Huge investment.
I think the question is, when will you release an X11 ASIC?
I wish I have the answer for that, but right now it's unknown.
Yeah, I think when we talk about all these alternative coins that use a different hashing function than SHA-256, I think all these efforts are pretty misguided, because the idea is, in theory, that if we base mining on commodity hardware, then it will be easier for people at home to mine, which in itself is a noble cause. But I think that saying that normal CPUs are a commodity, I think that's a mistake, because right now there are exactly 2 companies in the world that manufacture consumer CPUs, which is of course Intel and AMD, whereas companies manufacturing Bitcoin mining ASICs, I'm sitting here with 3 of them, and there are more in the world. So I think that right now CPUs are thought of as a commodity because mining doesn't interest Intel and so on. I think we might look at some future where mining is so big that Intel will want to manufacture mining ASICs. No, actually I wanted to say something else, that if people use ASIC resistant functions that can be mined only on CPUs, then Intel will corner the mining market, because only it and AMD know how to create CPUs. So I think it's a much better scenario if the hashing function is as simple as possible, it's as easy as possible to create an ASIC for it, and then we can have real competition for the manufacturing of ASICs, and then mining will be a real commodity that I believe will be mineable at home.
I also think that we are always watching this race between trying to establish an algorithm that is ASIC proof, and then once a coin goes to the moon on that algorithm, you see so much incentive of developing an ASIC that is going to work, even if it's not perfect. Just a basic implementation of the algorithm is a matter of time. I mean, what we saw now, a couple of months ago, the release of so many script ASICs is actually the result of the profitability half a year ago. And that is a normal thing. If the dark coin goes to the moon, we'll see probably an X11 ASIC in 4 months. I mean, I'm not a hardware manufacturer, but that's my guess what's going to happen if a coin on a certain algorithm becomes profitable.
Yeah, there's one thing I left out, which is botnets. Right now, often people ask what would happen if someone would create a mining botnet, and my usual answer is that it's not a problem because mining is so inefficient on CPUs, and I want to still be able to say that once we have mining that can be done on any CPU, then we will have a huge problem with botnets. So that's another thing that ASICs have going for them.
Kind of the problem that we had in the beginning of 2013, before the ASIC era. I have several more questions, but I do want to have opportunity to the crowd to ask questions.
So why do you think that CPUs need to be, the ASICs need to be simple when the CPU that I have in this thing still runs 8086 code? It's an enormously complex thing, this CPU, and yet it's a commodity.
Well, my point is that CPUs are not a commodity. You have two companies that know how to manufacture CPUs, and because they're so huge, not a lot interest them. So for any specific application, CPUs are like a commodity because they exist independently of that application. But if you look at people who are interested in a specific application, then it ceases to be a commodity because you have only two suppliers of this hardware.
Well,
so what I'm saying is that once mining starts to interest Intel, CPUs will no longer be a commodity.
Yes, we often hear statements like miners will take that transaction or do that and stuff like that. How easy is it, what does it involve to determine what you're picking up as mining and controlling your operation or algorithm?
So there are various pools, so even if one pool we decide not to sign a transaction, other pool will sign, so maybe someone else wants to comment?
The question is, if I make a transaction on the Bitcoin network, which of those transactions are preferred by the miners? Is that the question?
I'm asking about the mining process, how easy it is to control it. Let's say for some reason I want to pick up transactions that only have such and such transaction fee. As an example, how easy it is for me as a miner to implement it?
Well, if you're a software developer, it should be pretty easy for you. I mean, as a developer that writes code that communicates with the Bitcoin node and has a list of transactions in front of him, and he chooses some of them, then making this choice is really simple code. It's just going in loop and making a simple branching decision. So for a coder, it's extremely easy. For an individual miner who doesn't want to code mining software, I think it's a bit harder. I mean, I don't know any scriptable miner that allows you to easily specify which transactions to take. But I think that doesn't really matter because one developer can write software for thousands of people. So eventually, every choice that you want to make, if enough people want to choose transaction this way, you will find someone who writes the software to do it.
Okay, thank you.
I must say that there is no real incentive to do that because signing one transaction or signing 10,000 transactions, the pre-work that you need to do before signing is actually insignificant. One last question for me. How much power do miners have in determining the future of Bitcoin system? Could they resist changes to the protocol that might help them financially? There is also it's a repeating theme. Who has more power, the code developers or the pool? So, Meni.
Yeah, so I don't believe miners have a huge influence here, which is contrary to common opinion, because eventually miners want to gain something of value for the mining. So if no one accepts the Bitcoin that they mine, if no one accepts it as payment or buy them, then they will be left with nothing. So if most miners want to make some protocol change, but most people who use Bitcoin and buy Bitcoin and accept Bitcoin don't want this change, then they will still use whatever choice the economic majority chooses, and the miners will see that they mine their coins, but they can't sell them, so they will just stop doing that and fall back to whatever the economic majority decides.
We recently saw a drop in the Bitcoin price. I mean, everybody is aware of what happened. And it might have been to do, not really sure, but if a mining operation starts their progress and they run in some trouble or whatever, they have to liquidate the coins. And if this happens with a lot of mining operations, this can lead to the fact that the price actually drops. I mean, the Bitcoin has a small market capitalization, and even small amounts do have an influence on the price. But apart from that, the amount of miners coming into the system doesn't have apparently any effect on the coin itself. We discussed this because we saw the script ASICs coming in March, and we were expecting them, and everybody said, well, what's going to happen to the price of the Litecoin then if so much mining power gets into that system? Because a year ahead we saw ASICs coming into the Bitcoin world and the price rise. It turns out it has nothing to do with it. It's just the way we are thinking. We think a lot of money is being produced, so there must be a lot of money out there. But that's not how the system works, right? It's a constant level of how much money is being released.
Thank you very much, Yoshi, Stefan, Meni. Thank you for participating.